How's everyone doing? So, pretty big day for me. Someone who I've followed for a while. I'm quite excited to speak to. Eddie Hall, current world's strongest man. How you doing, Eddie? All right?
I'm good, man. Are you?
Yeah, I'm not so bad. Excited and nervous to be chatting to you. So the first question is, obviously, I've read your book, but how did you get started in strongman?
How did I get started in strongman? Well, I was expelled from high school when I was 15 years old, and I was supposed to fill that void of getting into trouble and, you know, drinking drugs and crime or whatever else. I lifted weights. That was my way of staying straight and narrow and staying out of trouble. And you know, by the time I was 19, I just realised I was the strongest guy in the area, probably one of the strongest men in the country, and I thought, I've got to do something with this. So I entered my first strongman contest in Blackburn, in top of Manchester, I believe, and I came 5th out of about 30 guys and just got the bite for it. Pretty much 10 years later to the day, I won World's Strongest Man. So it's been a very short-lived but extremely fulfilled journey for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Spot on. So what have you enjoyed the most about the journey so far? So obviously it sort of finished with the, you know, winning World's Strongest Man. But what have you enjoyed the most? What was the lessons and the challenges that you've learnt from having that journey? It was the proving people wrong, that, you know, the people that said things can't be done. And for me to go out and achieve things through sheer hard work and determination and obsession as well, you know, I dedicated my life to it, and I think that I enjoyed that. You know, I enjoyed being obsessed, and I enjoyed improving year in, year out, and once and for all shutting all those fucking naysayers up. And achieving the ultimate goal of winning the world's strongest man that many thought was impossible. And obviously I've done feats of strength along the way that probably no one will ever match. Yeah. But it's been quite fulfilling, quite nice to do. I mean, I remember seeing you at Headingley Stadium when you broke the world record deadlift up at Headingley again. When did you feel was your sort of like breakthrough moment, if you like? Where do you think you were like, right, I'm gonna kick on now? Because I know you've mentioned a few things, like when you were over in America and you were waiting for Arnold Schwarzenegger to come and do the deadlift. What do you reckon was your sort of breakthrough moment, if you like, the turning point?
I think the biggest turning point for me was it was the World Deadlift Champs 2014, and I pulled a world record in front of a 6,000 strong crowd and matched Benny Magnuson. And then I dropped the bar. And that one day, throughout the whole of competing in strongman, that one day you weren't allowed to drop the bar, but any other day would have been fine, before and since. Yeah. So that was hard to take. You know, it was a real sort of big hit down below. And to come away from that, to have that record being given, but then snatched within a second, you know, I got the down signal, and then bam, it was gone. And, you know, I got home and I was thinking to myself, what's the point? What is the point in carrying on? I might as well just pack it all in now, because everything's against me. And it was actually the wife that sat me down and just said, what are you on about? You know, you've just proved to yourself that you're the best in the world at something. You know, you just pulled a world record deadlift. And if you can do that as a hobby, you know, I wasn't even a professional back then. It was a hobby sport for me. It was something on the side. Then you can win the world's strongest man. And I thought, you know what, you're right. And it was that weekend that I never went back to work. I quit my job, and I became a professional strongman. And that's when I believed that I could win the world's strongest man. Genuinely believed it. So that was the flick switch moment for me. That I went from being a full-time mechanic. And, you know, I had my own door firm as well. I run security around the town, and I just gave all that up, and I became a professional strongman. And that was a big thing to do, because I've never had money, and it was a big risk. I had a mortgage, obviously wife and kids to look after, and I just took the risk and went for it.
you always mention about if people say you can't do it, you always want to do it. So was that a main driver as well? Or obviously you've mentioned about it was a big leap, obviously going from being a mechanic to going into strongman. What is the how important is the attitude of people saying you can't do it, and wanting to prove people wrong, and obviously look after your family and that sort of stuff? Is that the main driver?
Well, it's that attitude that keeps the world evolving and moving forward with everything, including technology. 100 years ago, the thought of putting a man on the moon would have been ridiculous, but now it's an everyday. You grow up knowing that, it's an everyday thing. And that was no doubt because of probably one scientist, one astronaut. And people like myself and Arnold go out and do surreal things and prove people wrong for that reason. You need people like us in the world to keep people inspired and keep the world evolving and moving forward. And I think that's very important. And I take great pride in setting standards. Winning the world's strongest man, winning the Britons, and then doing the impossible 500 kilo deadlift, stuff like that. It just keeps you going. Why wouldn't it? To prove people wrong, and not in a spiteful, I told you so sort of way, but in a way of, fuck you. Yeah. You can do it. It is possible. Don't talk crap.
You're always about the mindset about how you want to go do it. And I know for me, competing in powerlifting, seeing you pull 500 kilos, it is a case of, do you know what? A human man can pull that amount of weight. Why can't I aim for this and aim for that and keep going forward?
Exactly. It inspires thousands.
Who do you say has been your biggest mentors within life and sort of lifting?
I mean, if I want to sort of inspire myself or look for a path, I'll always look at Arnold Schwarzenegger's sort of life story and what he did. My sort of mini mentor, in a little strange way, was Brian Shaw. He was a guy from day one that my first time at World's Strongest Man, I remember seeing Brian, and I think it was the first time at Worlds was either the first or second time he'd won World's Strongest Man, and it was just, the guy was so professional, and I totally admired that. I was like, it just didn't click with me at the time why he was so professional. I just didn't see it as a profession. And then you hang around and talk with people like Brian, and the guy just does everything to the T, inside out. And if I ever needed any answers, any questions answered, or any advice, I'd go to Brian. And he was always a very humble man, and he'd always talk openly and honestly, and he's helped me a lot over the years, Brian has. And a bit of his own advice sort of shot him in the foot in the
end. So what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received, and what piece of advice would you pass on to people who are going out there and wanting to achieve their goals, whether it be they want to get a lift or they want to go out and do something that people said they haven't done?
I mean, the best piece of advice I've ever been given in my life was never put your winky where you wouldn't put your tongue. And I think that's a good rule of thumb to follow. But no, back in the swimming days, I had a very good coach when I was a very young boy, and he took me to the national championships when I was a swimmer, and he drilled it into me that hard work and consistency is key. Day in, day out, work your arse off, and good things will come. And that blueprinted me for the rest of my life, because he proved to me, I was winning national champion gold medals at 10 years old, up till I was 13, and that proved to me that hard work and dedication does pay off. And don't be so naive to think that there's a way around it. There's no secret formula, there's no cheat. You've just got to get in and get stuck in.
Yeah, okay. And then the last question really is, obviously, after watching you win World's Strongest Man, what does the future look like for Eddie Hall? What's the plan going forward?
There's lots of little ventures that have obviously opened up. I mean, there's been no end of endorsements and appearances. That's the easy stuff. But I'm sort of getting into a lot of business side of things now. I'm going to be working along with the Giants Live team a lot closer, helping to build Strongman up to, just a bigger sport. It's like, I see it as the WWE of all strength sports.
Yeah.
And I think that's the level we need to take it at. We need to be filling stadiums with 80, 90,000 people and taking these arenas around the world. And it's building very quickly. The momentum is coming very fast, and I think that is one of my inspirations, is to get Strongman as big as the WWE. So I'm working hard on that, and then I'm doing acting lessons a few times a week, and I'm working hard trying to get into the film industry. I'm in a very good TV agent at the minute, so just fingers crossed that something comes off from that, and I'll land somewhat big role in the future. So those are my aspirations.
Some exciting stuff coming forward then.
Yeah, and also we've got a lot of the UK sort of celebrity TV shows are very keen on me.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there's a lot on the plate that's coming up for sure.
Spot on. To be honest with you, I could probably sit here and talk to you till 10 o'clock and forget about the rest of the seminar, but obviously we've got members coming in to see you, so we'll leave it as that for now. I'll shut you on again. Thank you very much for that.
No problem, thank you.